Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It seems that fewer Scots are going to university in Scotland. Indeed, fewer Scots are going to university at all, and most of them that do tend to go into England. The trouble is there, once they've qualified, they tend to remain and build their careers. It means that in 10 or 15 years perhaps, there will be a direct impact on the economy of Scotland, as all those people, the scientists and engineers, etc., don't return. There's no investment and there's no entrepreneurship. It is a failure to provide for the future. And the IFS, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, said that this failure lies entirely with the SNP and their habitual underfunding. After all, Scots universities get a lot more for foreign students than for homegrown ones, and that is why fewer places are available to homegrown students. It's a problem that will get worse. Let's have a look at this to see why they are so reticent in funding places for Scots and why the universities are desperate for foreign students. Here goes. So fewer Scots will attend university in Scotland due to SNP cuts, the think tank says. And the think tank in this case is the Institute of Fiscal Studies. A study has shown funding for students per year of study has fallen by 19% in real terms since 2013-14, leaving Scottish universities increasingly reliant upon international students' fees. And of course, because running these universities isn't cheap, and when the Scottish government gives around £2,000 odd per student per year, and a foreign student could be paying up to £25,000 a year, you know it makes sense to get as many foreigners in as possible. But if that's the case, then fewer Scots will be going to university in Scotland, which means fewer Scots will stay in Scotland, because once they do leave, they tend to stay away. What's to come back to, particularly if you're in a high tax economy? And so it is a vicious cycle. But unless the SNP are prepared to put more money in to create more spaces for Scottish students and up the value of the money, then it isn't going to happen, is it? Anyway, fewer Scots will be able to go to university because of SNP and Green cuts to funding and the refusal to charge tuition fees, a think tank has said. A new study by the Institute of Fiscal Studies also highlighted that less money was being made available by the SNP government to support teaching, but that students could take on more debt, underwritten, of course, by Westminster, not by the Scottish government. But student debts are horrific. Would it not be better for the SNP to encourage more Scots to go by actually reintroducing fees, but have them phased and based on the income of your parents, for example, with, let's say, $2,000 for the poorest, $2,000 a year for the poorest, $5,000 a year for the intermediate, $10,000 a year for the higher paid. It's progressive. It means there's more funding available for the universities. They can then take on more Scottish students. That would benefit Scotland immensely. Or is it just me? No, it's political. They want to have that difference where people don't pay for university fees in Scotland. The only trouble is there's only going to be about 6 people going to university in Scotland. That is not good for the future of the nation. All the clever ones leave. Under the SNP's policy of free tuition, universities are given a set amount from Holyrood's budget to fund Scottish students, but the IFS said this did not cover the full cost. The policy also means there's a cap on the number of Scottish domiciled students because the Scottish universities can't afford any more. That's it. If you're not willing to pay, then you have a problem. The sustainability of the policy was questioned in January when it was disclosed that a line buried in the Scottish budget document conceded that cuts meant there were additional savings to be made in the higher education sector, including from reducing first-year university places. In other words, fewer Scots going to Scottish universities because we just don't want to invest in that kind of thing. Michael Marrow, the Scottish Labour's finance spokesman, has suggested his party will need to examine models to reintroduce charges in some form. Absolutely. He said at the weekend, we're not talking about tuition fees, but we are talking about having to find a new formula, a new way of addressing that system. There's lots of models across Europe. There's post hoc in terms of after the event, things that would previously be, we had previously, whether it be graduate taxes, whether it be endowments. Any kind of endowment like that tends to be a problem. Graduate taxes, again, that's just adding another layer of taxation, the last thing you want. The simplest thing is that you have pre-saving schemes and flat out charges. And then you just take out a loan, but you don't take out the loan in the way that the student loans are paid now. You take out a student loan and you say, right, whatever it is, and you take it out at the beginning. But the first 3 years of the loan, or you take it out as you go. It's a rolling loan is what I mean. So you take it out at the beginning of the year, you pay for your gear, and it rolls on, and it keeps going, and you charge a fixed rate, which will be Bank of England base rate, say. It can't go higher because it's funded by the government. It's a Bank of England base rate loan. But as soon as you get out, you've got that debt, and you can start paying that debt down. But you don't go, until you earn £30,000, then you pay it. No. Day one, you have to start paying it. But you can stretch it like a mortgage over an incredibly long time, and so that the monthly payments are manageable. That's all. It's easily done. Then as you earn more, you can pay it off quicker and reduce your interest payments. The way they've got the interest now on student loans, it actually means that you could actually work for 20 years and owe more than you did when you left university. That can't possibly be right, can it? Anyway, the IFS said that the Scottish Government's budget would cut funding for higher education by 3.6% cash terms once in-year savings are taken into account. Kate Ogden, a senior research economist at the IFS, said this will reduce further the per-student resources universities receive, which means fewer places for new Scottish students. Fees for teaching students from outside Scotland were worth about $1.4 billion to Scottish universities in the 21-22 academic year, accounting for about 30% of their income. And that's a lot of money. And that's why they do it. That's why they want the foreign students. No, don't give us the Scottish students. They cost us. We want the foreigners. They make us lots of money. A spokeswoman for the Scottish Government said free tuition ensured that access to university in Scotland remains based on the ability to learn and not the ability to pay. If only that were true. She said that is why we're seeing a record number of Scottish students being accepted to our universities, a record number of full-time first degree entrants from our most deprived communities, and why Scotland has the lowest number of student debt levels in the UK. Well, it's because you don't have student debt. Of course it's going to have no student debt levels, but you've now got also the lowest number of students going to university in Scotland. Well done. Well done. Imagine deliberately thickening your population, deliberately driving away the intelligent ones who need a degree, can't get a Scottish place, and went, sod that, and go down to England and stay there and won't come back because you're going to tax the arse off them. It's genius, isn't it? It's absolute genius level. But what do you expect? Have you seen who's in charge of education in Scotland? Coming up. So there you go. What's the solution? It's got to be the reintroduction of fees. You either have no fees and no students, or students with fees. Now, we're not talking massive fees, but there's got to be something to increase the numbers, because ultimately what happens is every single intelligent person in Scotland who goes off to do their degree abroad, outside of Scotland or into England, Wales, Northern Ireland, whatever, chances are most of them won't return, and you're going to lose all that education, all that intelligence. And what are you left with? More and more increasingly as a percentage of unskilled workers. And that's not how you build an economy. It's how you destroy an economy. But I'm sure the SNP know best. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.